Hello. Welcome to the A4NB4Y podcast, the Zelda-themed podcast where we cover everything Zelda. We are currently in Breath of the Wild, covering the Champions Ballad DLC Part 1, and a little bit of Cass for y'all. My name is Anthony, or Tony Giggles, and we're missing a co-host today, but I still have my awesome co-host.
I'm Ryan Fonzie, an awesome co-host.
And I hate Mondays.
Well, we always record on Mondays. We always release on Mondays, so it's.
I hate getting up on Monday, not necessarily the night aspect of it. That's fine. I hate waking up.
Getting up early to release our episodes has been changing every other Monday for me. It's been helping me get up in the morning a little bit.
I bet.
You know, it is what it is.
I bet.
So we got the Champions Ballad today. But I wanted to start out with some Cass detail because we haven't really talked too much about Cass this season, but he has been everywhere. He's actually a fan favorite character of this game, and we've kind of been just breezing by him everywhere we go. Because
he's important.
He starts out as like a shrine quest master of sorts. Cass is the macaw Rito that you'll see at different stables at different shrines, and he's almost always playing his it's like an accordion, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, just to kind of push that whole
accordion,
just to push the Italian theme a little further. he's got his squeeze box going.
He definitely has the whole Renaissance look down pat.
Yeah, no, he's a good bird, is what he is. So,
is he though? Because I don't think he's a good parent.
Well, yeah, he's on a quote unquote mission for the greater good right now. But yeah, he's a pretty rough when it comes to. I mean, he's in a rough spot. He's homesick most of the time you go through this game. So if you weren't motivated to finish the game for Zelda's sake, think of the Cass.
Think of Cass. Think of his family, man.
He needs your help going home.
He needs to go home.
So, Cass is a researcher of ancient songs. And every once in a while, you'll find him in the wild singing a song that he would like to teach you. A lot of them relate directly to a shrine. There's one of them that doesn't, and that one's actually my favorite spot to find him in this game. But the ones, we just kind of like rattle them off just to kind of get through this. But general scheme, you talk to him, he says, I know a song about this area, and you can elect to hear it. It's always some cryptic message. It's just like a little puzzle clue for what you're standing right next to. It's almost always like something super obvious right in the area. So he shows up. I'm actually literally reading off of zeldadungeon.net, and I'm just going to go through like what the gist of each place is. Horon Lagoon is on the eastern side of the map. It is a bunch of wind tunnels shooting through some rocks in a little bay. Well, I guess in the lagoon, right? And your goal is to kind of fly onto a platform.
Quite a fun one.
With accuracy. He's at the Gerudo Tower. Once you go and you unlock the Gerudo Tower, I mean, you don't have to unlock it. He's up there playing his accordion, and he'll tell you about a certain time of day when you have to stand on a platform and shoot an arrow at the sky. Rabia Plain is actually just north of Kakariko, and that is the place where I originally said you could farm deer, because that's the shrine. You have to ride a stag onto a platform, and then it summons a shrine. Kalora Lake is in the Faron region, And for that one, you have to get lightning to strike a platform or a stone or something. There's a place where you need to like leave something metal so that lightning will strike it. And that will call in a shrine or open up a shrine. I think there might just be like a rock that's like covering up the shrine or something, and the lightning destroys it. Something along those lines. Pagos Woods is south of the Zonai ruins, and he tells you about the dragon's mouth or whatever that leads right to the Shrine of Courage. Washa's Bluff is north of Satori Mountain. That one, you have to stand barren under the blood moon on a platform. You have to take all Link's armor off and stand on a platform, and that's the only way you can open the shrine, but it only works on a blood moon. And then the West Hyrule Plains, exactly what it sounds like, west side of Hyrule Plains. It's like across the bridge, I believe. Also very close by Satori Mountain. There are a bunch of rocks with holes in them. And his challenge is basically find two rocks that you can shoot an arrow through. So you have to like get two of them lined up in a way that you can shoot an arrow through two of these holes, and then that'll summon a shrine. And so normally once you do all of those plus one other one, he will eventually make his way back home. But in this Champion's Ballad, that story goes further. The one other place that I haven't mentioned, it's not a shrine quest, but it is the like the Hero's Trove or something like that, where I guess the Link from 100 years ago had buried pirate treasure, but not really buried. He just sunk it underwater, out in Kitano Bay. This is one of the coolest set pieces in the game, because if you go out there, Cass is like standing on a rock playing the accordion, right? And it's like one little spire rock with a couple little like smaller spires around it, and there's just a whole flock of seagulls like surrounding him. Just a really cool, like I've seen artwork, I've done like a lot of fan art of that scene specifically because it's just really pretty. It's out on the seaside. And with his color scheme and the seagulls and all the blue of the ocean and the sky, it is gorgeous. So yeah, that was my favorite thing.
Rich.
And when I was trying to complete this, when I was trying to actually get Cass to go home, that was the one I didn't know about. And so, actually, so I ended up looking it up and going out there, and I was like, oh my goodness, how did I miss this? It's amazing.
There's actually another one too, another little secret with Cass. If you catch him at, I don't remember what stable it is, but there's like, I think 2 stables. If you catch him there, he'll play Epona's song.
Oh, nice.
It's pretty awesome. Yeah.
Yeah. When he's hanging out at a stable, I have noticed that. Like he plays Epona's song over top of the stable music, and it harmonizes perfectly.
It's nice. It's like an extra little tidbit they threw in there. He doesn't do anything at the stables, but I was just like, this is relaxing. I could leave my game here and just go do something.
Yeah, if you talk to him right outside of the Rito village, there's a stable there, the Rito stable. If you talk to him at that one, he'll tell you about how he's homesick, and he's like, we're actually really close to my hometown, and I'm quite homesick, but I have this mission to pass along these ancient songs. Yeah, like he's so close. Like you think he could just stop in and be like, "Well, I'm probably not going to miss the hero if So yeah, we'll find this out, especially later. I mean, as you go, he's always looking to pass along his songs onto the ancient hero. He doesn't make it known that he has an idea that that's who you are. He just always kind of suggests like, "Oh, hey, I know it. I just happen to know a song about this place coincidentally. Do you want to know?" And it makes you think like he asks that to everybody who comes by, in a way. But I think when you read his journal or when you get later cutscenes, he explains, "Oh no, this is the whole point. Like I'm trying to pass these on to the hero."
And I think
yeah,
I know I mentioned this to you before, and this is a theory that is very prominent on the internet, and I don't know. I haven't concluded my decision on this yet. I'm not sure how I feel about it, but there's a lot of journals going around between Cass and Robbie that they're possibly connected. and we don't know exactly how old Rito are, but it's said that Robbie, who was very young, very, very young during the calamity, was one of the ninjas, Impa, Sheikah people that were like on Zelda's side, like one of the two soldiers, or basically always accompanying her as protection during the war. So it's been said that Cass said that his teacher is very fond of Zelda and knew Zelda. And Rob has wrote about how he loved Zelda, or just some other things about that before Sherry. So
Oh,
there's like this theory that Robbie is Cass's teacher because Cass shreds the guitar.
yeah,
Some like when you talk to him sometimes like so he's like musically gifted. So there's this theory. It's Nintendo never implied it. They never made like they gave you like little droppings, but they never actually said this is it. So
yeah.
I
Oh my
I like to
gosh.
think it's that, but they also clearly stated Cass said that his teacher's dead. Whether that's true or Cass is just, throwing that out to you, I don't know.
Hmm.
It adds some real implication that Cass does know who you are, and he's tasked this mission with from Robbie to like, you know, make sure you stay the course.
Yeah, I don't know. I've never actually I'm actually looking at Robbie's memoirs now, and I don't even know. Uh, I've never read through this all, so
Yeah,
I don't
there's a
want to
lot
do
of
it
good
all right
stuff.
now. But I haven't seen anything about Zelda just yet. But there's like 13 pages to his memoirs, and that's a lot. That's a lot
Mhm.
to deal with. But that is where it talks about how Link like destroyed 100 guardians at Fort Hateno and stuff like that too.
Yeah.
I named this machine Cherry after the first girl I ever loved, is a quote I just found.
Yeah.
So there's some discrepancy there because he doesn't actually, as far as I've read so far, he hasn't said anything about having feelings for Zelda. Not in these
I don't think it
memoirs,
was
anyway.
I don't think it was necessarily like that kind of love for Zelda. I think it was
Gotcha.
more of like friend,
Okay.
but he does mention it somewhere. I don't remember where. There was a journal either between Cass or Robbie that you could
Well,
read.
there is a connection, and I think we'll talk about it more when we get to that part.
Yeah.
Because I wanted to actually cover some of the. I mean, we're gonna actually go through some of this Champions Ballad first, then we'll talk about Cass back at his hometown. Uh,
Sounds good.
so yeah, Cass is very important to the DLC, mainly because it's the Champions Ballad and he's the one who sings it. So he actually leads the DLC as well, which is kind of fitting for the fact that he's been this secret guide along the way, very much in the style of Kapora Gabora a little bit.
You know who he also reminds me of? He reminds me of Gorgo.
Who's Gorko from
Gorko, wasn't he the
Sky?
Goron in Skyward Sword that
Yeah,
is like the
yeah, yeah.
scientist? He gives me those vibes a little bit. He is like always present, helping you out.
Always discovering something that's exactly what you need to know at at that moment.
Right. Right.
It's like, what are these cubes? All right, so so yeah, so in the first part of the DLC, I mean, we first get one of those telepathic messages from Zelda saying, "Go back to the shrine where you first emerged back into Hyrule, the Shrine of Resurrection." Right? We go back there
Mhm.
and we get a challenge from Maz Kasha, I think is how you say the name.
Yeah.
And they tell you to take up this weapon that is now located inside of the Shrine of Resurrection, known as the one-hit obliterator.
It does what it says.
Yeah, it's just right there on the tin.
But there's a massive flaw to this baby.
Yeah, this thing is cursed. It's
Mhm.
it's very much the double-edged sword that Nintendo loves to do, where everything else takes one hit, but so does Link. So you grab this thing, you lose all your health. Link is in immense pain. It's kind of disturbing to watch. Kind of like when he's grabbing the Master Sword out of the pedestal.
Mm-hmm.
It's just same type of thing going on. There's a vampiric weapon that he decides that he has to use here. The weapon itself, the weapon itself is ridiculous. It's like this menorah trident thing that's got each of the divine beasts on the tips of the candles, basically. And then some ribbons hanging off of it, and you smack things with it, and they go down.
It's like a megalo candelabra.
Yeah. It's ridiculous. This, I made a clip of all, well, not all, but most of the times I died during this trial. It was a comedy of errors, man. This thing, like, I got through it. Luckily, they don't make you restart everything every time you beef it, but
yeah,
they do. You do lose some progress whenever that happens.
I should send you my hero's path. I don't know does your version have the hero path? I feel like it should.
You can turn it on and off. I think it's part of the DLC. Yeah. On the Wii U, it's not just always on. You have to set it on, and then, even then, it only records so much. So I don't know if it was a memory limitation or what, but
mine recorded the whole game so far, but I set it specifically to like that portion, like that time stamp. So when Link gets the one-hit obliterator, every time you die in Hero's Path, by the way, it shows an X on the map. So it's like it like draws the line, and then you hear Link go, "Ah!" and like it draws an X, and then it like warps like the arrow back to here, and like the path goes back, and then it's like, so my hero's path is on the plateau is literally just like, "Ah! Ah!" It's like probably 25 of them. I died so many times up there.
Yeah,
trying different strategies.
It's pretty easy. I mean, I died to fall damage a few times, like just random stuff that you don't normally care about because you have so many hearts. It's just losing all the time.
I killed the Lionel though. That's on the Great Plateau
with the one-hit obliterator. just to get revenge.
Got some free junk from it. Got a Lionel horn. Yeah, just to get revenge.
Hilarious. Nah, but there's 4 shrines to represent the 4 divine beasts, right? Something like that. But then you get a actual spirit orb from each one of them as well. Which is cool because originally you were maxed out at a certain amount, but now you can actually get that, I don't know, 18th heart piece or whatever. Whatever you need. For me, it's always the heart piece because I already have stamina maxed out. But yeah, so you do that, and in the middle of that, there's one of the shrines that you end up going to during this trial, because the way the mechanic works, you have to go to a certain zone on the plateau, defeat all the enemies in that zone, and then the shrine will pop up, and you can do the shrine.
They're beefy shrines now.
Yeah. So there's one that's kind of by the what's it called? The alley? The Eastern Alley, is that what it's called?
The Old Town.
Yeah.
The ruins or whatever.
The Eastern Abbey. Yeah, there's one that's north of that, between that and the tower. And after you get out of that one, Cass will be there waiting for you. And he has a song for you that's a little bit more about what you're even up to in the first place. It's like I'm pretty sure this one's like an overview song of the entire Champions Ballad and what the point of it is. So it's just like a better introduction of what's happening, because having a sage just tell you, hey, take this up and do the challenge is kind of confusing. So Cass gives you a little bit more about how this is actually related to all of the other champions and how you are on this mission now to kind of see what kind of trials they went through. So it's kind of cool. You get through this part of the game. I mean, I don't really know what else to say about this. I mean, it is exactly as I said. You run around, and I mean, some of the shrines have basically obstacle courses inside of them because they know that you're down to a quarter heart. So it's less about the enemies you fight, and it's more about the spikes you don't hit.
The one in Eastern Abbey, actually, you were mentioning, I'm pretty sure that was the one that was the gauntlet that just seemed like it never ended. And then like you had to like glide past pendulum spikes and fight guardians, and oh my goodness. And then the one with the spikes was a pain to
Yeah.
navigate to.
There's one with a
I remember
giant
that one
conveyor
specifically.
belt where you have to like run through a whole bunch of like pillars that like pop out at you with spikes on them. And meanwhile, there's a
Oh
big
yeah,
spike
yeah.
wall just chasing you down like a Crash Bandicoot game. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, that was
Yeah.
I don't remember the other one.
There was one that was like spike balls and stuff were all falling down like a pachinko board. And you had to run down that and then grab a treasure chest off of. You had to like take a metal scoop and grab a like 2 different sized like orbs, but also a treasure chest as well was in the mix, so you could grab that if you wanted to. It was just like I don't know, a catch mini game. It wasn't too bad. It wasn't too long. And then there was one. There was a gauntlet, like you said. There was one where you actually go in and it presents itself as a major test of strength until you destroy the Guardian, and then the elevator goes back down. So then you go down and you go through a little maze of Guardians and stuff.
Oh, yeah.
That one was really interesting because it was kind of a fake out. You were like, oh, this is silly.
I thought it was done. I was like,
yeah.
oh, wait, am I not just going to blow this guy away? And then, yeah.
Right. Yeah, you go up and you hit him once and you're like, all right, easy peasy, let's get out of here. And then it goes down. You like, I think the door even opens and there's just no sage up the stairs. And you're like, what is this? And you turn around and there's a hole that you can go down. It's pretty cool.
Yeah.
It definitely takes what you know about the game or what you think you know about the game and kind of like presents original challenges that can actually stump you, which is kind of cool. Like I like that they did that. The DLC actually feels like a new thing, just following old rules, I guess. So it's cool. They did a really good job with it. But yeah, so after we finished the challenge on the plateau, we are given the locations of 4 different obelisks, I guess. I don't know what you would call them. They're like these little 3-point shrines type deals. They're not actually shrines, but they're like stone formations around the map that mark the challenges of the 4 different champions and what trials they had to undergo in order to qualify as a champion, right?
They have like a little like map on the back too, right? From what I remember.
Yeah, when you get to each one, the stones show 3 different locations from a bird's eye view of your map. So you have to recognize the map or recognize the location based on your understanding of the mini map, because the pictures that they show you aren't even the topographical map. They're actually like landscape pictures from
straight up 3D,
from above, and you have to look at that and interpret that to find it on your map, and then you can mark the locations and get to them.
Which leads me to believe, like, what was Nintendo thinking? Like, did they have a Rito do this? Like a Rito Sheikah like transcribe this? Like, what's going on here? How did they do that?
Yeah, I don't. I mean, it would have to have been like a Rito with the Sheikah slate taking pics.
Yeah, and whoever, if this was not the camera, whoever actually sculpted that, give that man a medal, because those things were detailed.
Yeah. So we talked about the order in which we wanted to play this, and it turned out it was pretty much the opposite of the order that we did the main story in. So instead of starting at the Zora and moving our way all around to the Gerudo, we're actually going to start at the Gerudo and work our way the other way around.
I think the reason I did that was specifically wanted to get Thunderblight Ganon, which we'll talk about later, out of the way.
Yeah.
I wanted that over.
I wanted the upgrade that comes with it. Because for each of these challenges, it becomes really useful to have an extra bit of firepower. And we'll talk more about that as we go. But yeah, I mean, I guess we could just say now that The format of these is you go off and you do 3 shrines, 3 DLC shrines, so they're a little bit better. Each one has a unique challenge to get into it in the first place that's kind of based in a skill that you already have from playing the main game. So you do these 3, like you do the challenges to get into the shrines, you go in and you do the shrines, you get 3 Divine Beast emblems, which is a lot like a spirit orb, just with a picture of the Divine Beast in it rather than the symbol of Hylia. And then you cash those 3 tokens in order to go back to like a memory chamber at the Divine Beast. And that memory chamber situation is actually a buffed up version of the boss from the Divine Beast, presented as if you were the champion that was defeated by it. So you have the gear,
full power.
Yeah. So you have the gear that the champion had when they were defeated, and you're fighting a stronger version of the boss. So your gear is limited and your enemy is stronger. And so that's why, and the reward for each one, just to say, is like a upgraded version of that champion's power. Mm-hmm. So I wanted to go to this one first, the Vandaburis.
Urbosa Fury Plus.
Yeah, you get Urbosa's Fury Plus helps you fight all the other bosses, because Urbosa's Fury is kind of the ticket to winning these fights. So if we can get the upgraded one, it just makes it that much easier to get through the rest of these.
Mm.
But yeah, so let's talk about Naboris and Urbosa. So we come over to this zone over on the it's one of the Gerudo plateaus. I don't remember.
Some mesa, I don't
know. Yeah, the East Gerudo Mesa.
Something like that.
Yeah, and we get our entry into this. Revali will be at each of these little obelisk things, singing a song about. I mean, he gives clues as to what you're going to do.
I better hope now Revali's there.
Sorry. So Cass is at each one of these.
I might shoot an arrow at him.
Man, I'm always messing up Cass and Revali. Cass is like the second best Rito, and Revali's like the third best Rito. I want to say Renelli's like number 4. Number 1 is Cass's wife for taking on all those kids this whole time. She deserves all the credit. All these Rito think they're special and think they're champions.
And the one dude that helped us to, air battle that Divine Beast, he's not even in the top 3 or 4.
Tiba?
Yeah.
I mean, he's pretty cool. I'd actually put him above Revali.
Yeah, he's cool. I feel like he's better than Revali for sure.
He could be number 3 then. All right. So now that we got this, it's Cass's wife, Cass, Tiba, Renelli, Revali, and then all the ones we can't remember.
Yep. I don't even know the chief's name. His name might just be Chief. I don't know.
Even Cass's like kids rank better than Revali, but we'll get to that. Everybody. He's just a good archer, that's all. Anyway, so we're here. Cass is telling us about Urbosa. Mm-hmm. And he mentions three challenges. One about surfing on the sand. One about fighting a giant monster, a giant Molduga. I think it's clear. I mean, like, he doesn't outright name that, but everything he says is kind of a hint at what we're going to be doing.
But ain't just no normal Molduga.
No, it's a better one. But real quick, and then one's about something about an orb in a hole in a giant pit. So that's kind of your hints. You get your maps, like you look at the maps on the obelisks and mark them out, and we can get going on these. So the first one I did was the Molduga, though. I don't know if that's what. Yeah.
I wanted to fight him. I didn't actually know right away, like the orb in the pit. Like that one took me a bit to get. Mm-hmm. So I went, like when he said this one, I was like, oh, I'm fighting the Molduga. Like I'm going there right now.
Right. You look for the one that's marked right out in the desert, and you're like, "Yep,
Yep.
that looks like the right kind of arena." You go out there. There's some like researcher out there who's trying to see this thing as well, which is funny. But this is the Moldu King.
Like, you don't want to be face to face with this.
This thing
It's
is
like some
massive.
Monster Hunter stuff over here.
Yeah, you get anywhere near that zone, and he'll be like a quarter mile away, and you'll see the title block come up. And it's like, what is that sandstorm? Like, that's not a sandstorm. That's a sand shark.
Out of there.
He's coming for your pizza trees. It's gonna be. Sorry, I had to bring up the pizza trees again. But
so something interesting happened when I started fighting this guy.
Okay.
And so obviously I have like, 10,000 bomb arrows because, amiibos. And
Right.
I shredded this man.
Yeah.
But
agreed.
He ran away from me.
Did he really?
Yeah, so I got him down to probably 40% health after shredding him to pieces. And then like he got back up and I was on the ground like trying to like get airborne again, and he just like started going through the desert. He just like went away, and I'm like,
did he disappear and get his health back or anything? Or
he didn't go like too far, but he like swam like probably like a football field away at least.
Yeah, I mean for him that's not that far of a distance.
Yeah.
No,
I guess, yeah. He is a football field.
Right. He's huge. I mean, that's the thing. He is a very big target, especially if you have bomb arrows. He seemed really easy to trick. I mean, it seemed like even more than a regular Molduga in some cases. I was able to get him to like, I learned, this is what I learned fighting him, is that you can actually let the Moldugas eat a bomb and then just store that bomb. So if you get them to come out, like you throw a bomb and trick them, they come up and eat the bomb, you can then hit him with a bomb arrow and leave that bomb in him. And then he'll fall to the ground hurt by the bomb arrow because, he came out of the sand, you shot him. And you can fight him then. And then when he gets back up and starts swimming again, you can detonate the bomb that's in him and he'll flop over again.
Oh.
So you can just store some Sheikah bombs inside the Molduga.
Dang.
And save them for a more opportune time.
And I'm guessing you could do that with both of them. So I think
I don't know if they detonate each other if you have both of them in there. I didn't really test that extensively, but yeah, there's definitely like that was a new thing for me to learn. I don't know if it works as well with the smaller Moldugas too. But
I was gonna say that's interesting. I'm gonna try that with the other Moldugas because I definitely need some more Molduga guts.
Yeah, it felt like a pretty mean hack to be like, oh yeah, you just recovered from this one. All right, well, kaplow, fall back over, please, because he'll pop right out of the sand if it's the bomb that's in him. Like if he's swimming, he'll just come right out and fall over. It's pretty solid strategy, I think.
Straight up the Dongo Kinging it.
The thing's super susceptible to bomb arrows too. I mean, the second he starts popping up out of the sand, if you hit him with an arrow, he'll come out of the sand completely. Very, very easy to stun this guy. But yeah, it's pretty cool. He has a fun shrine that he's protecting too. It's like the secret ladder, I think it's what it's called, something like that. Where you have to...
It's like a long circuit board, right?
There's
from what I remember.
Yeah, I think the circuit... Oh, yeah, I'm thinking of the wrong one. I'm thinking of the Sand Seal Race one. Whoops. Yeah. So, yeah, this one is the big old circuit board where things are moving and you gotta, like magnesis a ball on a chain to, like, hook over another rail and then find, like, a cryonis spot to have another metal thing in the chain. So you just have to fix this big circuit. And then there's, like, a circuit breaking game as well for an extra treasure chest if you want it. It was fun.
Yeah, it wasn't too bad. Normally, I hate the circuit ones. Like, I despise them, but this one actually was kind of fun.
Yeah.
I think because it was just like one long chain.
I enjoyed it. I think part of the, I went off and found that weird like stop the platform game first, where you had to like make them all line up into a thing, and then I came back and did the rest of the shrine. So I didn't have to play the game after, so I had it all lined up ahead of time, and it was cool to just set up the circuit and everything. But I enjoyed that. The next one on my list here is the Sand Seal Race. And this one starts kind of on the other side of Gerudo Town, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
And it's basically just a clear the ring challenge. You have to go and, it's almost like when you find a Korok that you have to race to the Circle of Lights for. It's like that, but, more magical looking, and there's like the timer looks like this weird blue tech ring rather than a ring of lights. But it's the same concept. You see it like
your Steel Hawk.
It's a clock.
Surfer.
Yeah. Not a very hard challenge, to be honest. I mean, I think I got knocked off my seal once. Kind of. Like right at the end, but then I was able to get through the ring anyway. So it was fine. But yeah, it didn't, like, if you played the Sand Seal Rally, you wouldn't have any problem with this one. It's I feel like these challenges are like slightly easier than what you do in game.
I feel like
there's nothing wrong with that.
Doing the snowboarding game before this and trying to break the records on that was hard, I feel.
The snowboarding game, the records on that one?
In Heber Peak. Doing that one and breaking the record, like the best record you can get for the best prize, to coming to do this, like this was way too easy, I feel.
Yeah, the main game, I mean, I guess you shouldn't even say the main game, but the other side quests that you find in the wild over prepare you for these challenges. I think they're kind of designed for people who didn't, like, so you didn't have to do any of the side quests to have the mechanics down. They wanted it to be something where you could enjoy the DLC even if you didn't fully explore the map yet.
Yeah.
But yeah, pretty easy stuff. But this one was the secret ladder. And it's like it's got circuitry, but it also has climbing spots. You have to like kind of adjust a big abacus of blocks to climb your way up to the top of this thing. And I think you had to like pair Cryonis in there too to fully fill out the ladder of sorts. But it was
yeah, I had trouble with this one, if I remember this one right.
Yeah, it was interesting. I mean, it's very much a puzzle box, but not as much a puzzle box as the last one we're going to talk about, which is literally a puzzle box.
I didn't like that one either.
Yeah, so that one's pretty straightforward. I mean, just challenge in the desert. This last one is the orb. It's like you have to. So basically, we make a return to the Yiga clan hideout, and we have to go in and retrieve an orb from where they store all of their bananas normally. And you take that orb outside to the pit that Koga fell into, and you just toss it in. So the challenge here is to get that orb and get out without being seen or causing a giant fight. Because if you drop the orb, it teleports back into the storage room.
Yeah, so I had a problem with this initially because when I did finally think of like, oh, the orb in the pit, I like tried to go to Koga, like where he fell, and it was like, what's gonna happen? Like, I was like, maybe I can throw a bomb, maybe I can do this. Like, I had no clue.
Right.
And I stumbled upon it accidentally.
Yeah, there's a pair of explorers chilling outside of the Yiga clan secret doorway. And they're like, oh, yeah, there's a legend about putting a ball in this pit over here. But, I don't want to go into this hideout. It seems dangerous or something. So, like,
I didn't talk to them.
Walk past them and go in and get it.
So they're literally there to just be like, hey, you need a ball.
That's what it seemed like, yeah. I came out, threw it in the pit. Up comes the next shrine. And this one is interesting. It was like, it was one of those, motion control puzzles, but instead of trying to get a ball through a maze or anything like that, or trying to set up a platform the right way, this one you just had to look inside of a box. There's like a cube with a bunch of orbs inside of it, and it has slots on each face. And the idea is to look inside and get a count of how many of each different colored ball there is inside this box, and then mark it with, you have some orbs and I don't even know what you call it, bowls to put them in around the room, and you just got to make sure that the numbers and colors match up right. So really, really simple compared to the other two.
Yeah, it felt like one of those like I don't know the name of the company, but it's like those brain teaser puzzles where it has like it's like a cube with different mazes, and you have to get all the little balls to like fit into like a little hole while spinning it was kind of like a broken version of that.
Yeah. Is yeah. But with that, we have our 3 emblems, and we are able to go and take on Thunderblight Plus. Is what I've been calling these guys.
Thunderblight Plus.
Thunderblight Plus. And you're given a good chunk of Sheikah gear. You're not given any wooden shields, though, which I thought was interesting. Because that means you can't shield parry his final attack phase. You might remember our Gerudo episodes. I don't even remember what numbers they were anymore. But I mean, fighting Thunderblight is a challenge enough on regular, like for the regular part of the story. Going through it here is kind of painful. I mean, I ended up working out okay. I was able to get some fury rushes on his final phase, which was cool. And made it happen. But definitely having Urbosa's fury was helpful as well, because if you can just hold a sword spin and get thunder to come down from the heavens and stun a blight, it gives you a lot of extra hits, and it's basically just a free strat at pretty much any point in the fight to do that and get some hits in. So if you expend them all right away, you might even get them to recharge before the end of the fight. Just saying.
What I did was use the sword, the big one, to like spin him and do Urbosa's flurry, and then I would switch to the other sword to chalk him away to get the most hits in.
Nice.
It took me a few times to get him.
Yeah.
Because, master mode.
But I think the coolest thing about these, I mean, not only do you get Urbosa's Fury Plus when we finally defeat this guy, but we get Urbosa's song, which is funny because when Revali goes to teach you the song, I mean, he'll normally give some kind of praise, like he'll sing like 1 or 2 verses praising the hero, and then like that's like the intro to the song. He's like, now listen to this song, but you don't actually get to listen to the song because Link has a memory every time this happens. In this case, I mean, and that's part of the lore too, is Revali's trying to give you these ancient songs, but I guess one of the things that his master taught him is that a really good song should make a person feel like they are experiencing the story of the song. So this is like a gifted memory. They aren't actually Link's memories from back in the day. They're new. And so with this song, Link is transported back to a time when Princess Zelda was going to recruit Urbosa to be the champion for Vadnaboras. So it starts off with a very official ceremony where Zelda comes and is asking for Urbosa, and Urbosa accepts without hesitation. It is a very straightforward meeting. It is very official, very much like royalty speaking with royalty in a throne room.
Yeah.
And then it cuts to a scene at night where the two of them are walking through the desert. And, Zelda makes a comment about, how she, doesn't remember the last time she saw Urbosa so serious. And Urbosa's like, well, I don't know. Like, I kind of feel the opposite. Like, it just seems like you've been serious for years now. And they have this whole conversation. And Zelda asks
Some like,
Urbosa calls Zelda little bird.
yeah.
And so Zelda's like asks about that. But while she's asking, there's these two random dudes in the desert walking by. And Urbosa calls them out as being Yiga Clan members and is like, yeah, you know what? Cut the nonsense, show yourselves and give it a go. Like we're not playing games. So they do, and they get wrecked. Like they messed around and found out, man. Urbosa just cleans house with these guys.
Yeah.
There's like perfect parries and stuff going on, and she's just like, epic. Yeah, she smacks them around real good. And then the last one's like about to come up behind her, and Zelda's all worried, but then she snaps her fingers, and Urbosa furies the last guy. It's just nonsense. But then it's funny because she makes this comment about how, like, out of respect for the princess, I'll let you escape with your lives, and so they retreat, which is not. I think there's a contrast there between what she did and what Link did when he was defending Zelda, because I'm pretty sure he just straight up killed the dude.
Yeah, he just went in, Master Sword, boom.
I mean, the other two got away, but, he's like, yeah, no, we're not playing.
That's the difference between Link and Urbosa.
Well, then Urbosa also then finishes the conversation and lets her know that she actually calls her little bird because whenever she sees Zelda, she's reminded of her old friend, who is the late Queen, Zelda's mother, and she used to call Zelda little bird. So there's actually more written about that in Urbosa's diary as well, which I did.
No, I don't think I ever wrote that or read that. Yeah,
so that's the other really cool thing about these. I mean, there's some praise there too. Like before we get out of the cutscene, I guess Urbosa like lets her know, like, hey, you've been like a beacon of light since that all happened. I miss your mom, etc. Right? I'm like doing long story short quite a bit here because I don't know how long we've been recording, but we still have so much more to cover in this episode.
I think we're at 45, at least for me.
Okay. Great. Then we're making good time, I think. We'll see. But yeah, I did read Urbosa's diary, and I can give you like a summary. They're all, or at least the two that we're going to go over tonight, are both 8 pages long.
Oh my.
Yeah, but they're not as long as like Robbie's memoirs or anything. Like they're nicer than that. But it starts off, Urbosa's recounting Zelda's mom and how she calls Zelda little bird and how she has this unconditional love for Zelda. And it's like the most amazing thing she's ever seen. You turn the page and she talks about the queen passing away and how it was such a super sad day. And Zelda, I think, was maybe 6 years old when this happened. But she held her head up high at the funeral, and like, she carried herself like a princess regardless, which is kind of jacked up, kind of tells you about her upbringing as having to like hold on to a role even when things are really hard and emotional. At least that's what that speaks to me anyway. Then there's a scene, I don't know how many years later this is, but Urbosa is going to like, she's going to some kind of meeting or something at the castle. And she's excited because she's going to see Zelda again. She spends the day with Zelda, and Zelda is like training by like praying at one of these shrines, like one of the springs. And she spends all day in this ice cold water, and Urbosa's telling her to stop. Like, you've done enough. Like, let's get out. And she just refuses to stop until Urbosa drags her out of the water. And she can just tell that Zelda's under all this pressure to like get this right, and it plays right back into all those cutscenes we went over in episode 50 of like, she's just under way too much pressure, way too hard on herself. Like she's living a lifestyle of being constantly just burnt out by trying to do something she doesn't fully understand. Yeah, so then we kind of get into a more recent history, or at least more recent for the time, before, everything went down, when she was chosen to pilot the Divine Beast. This is probably page 4 now. And on that page, she also cites Ganon's association with the Gerudo, which she totally despises, which is part of the reason why she really wants to be this pilot, because she wants that revenge.
Revenge.
And then she talks about the inauguration of all of the champions. On the next page, she mentions how everybody, like all the champions, she mentions, Link, Mipha, Revali, Zelda. The only one she doesn't put in here is Daruk, but she says that all of these champions, like, they're all so young, they're the future of Hyrule, which is kind of a sad thing now looking back to think, like, oh yeah, like that's how she saw them. And she's like, I really hope that me and Daruk can help them see that vision. So, like, kind of making that same distinction of, like, a generational difference between her and Daruk and the rest of them, which in my head plays into that whole family dynamic of, like, I always saw Daruk and Urbosa as, like, the parents of the group.
Yeah.
So then, and she also makes note that Zelda is acting cold towards Link already. So, like, I guess she's getting along with everybody else in the groups, or at least enough to make a contrast that she's being really cold towards Link. So page 6 is when Link, she talks about how Link came to her because Zelda's been exploiting the laws of Gerudo Town to get away from him. And she shares with him a secret trick to get into the city, which we know and we've used before. I'm sure she doesn't say what the trick actually is, but it's just implied. It's the same trick. It's always been just, cross dress your way in, that kind of thing. And then on page 7, So page 7, she talks about the cutscene that we've seen of Zelda falling asleep on Von Naboris when Link shows up. She basically recounts that and talks about how she wanted to share some things with Link so that he would better understand what he's up against with Zelda. She's like, she really cares about their relationship. Because she's like, they need to work together if this is going to work out. And, like, I'm really hoping that they can make for a good team. So she actually, like, that's why she is telling Link about the pressure that Zelda's under, because she's trying to help Link and Zelda have a better relationship moving forward. So then last page, she talks about how Link and Zelda are finally getting along. And she actually, in the diary, refers to Zelda as her little bird once again. She says that she doesn't pray to the goddess, but she prays to Zelda's mom, which is interesting, kind of ironic, because their odds are Zelda's mom also had a connection with the goddess Hylia, right? So it's kind of like, you're not far off of praying to the goddess by saying that. And then she talks about how she's concerned about all the monster attacks and unusual events in Hyrule, and she's really hoping that they can, defeat this oncoming threat. So there's a lot there.
That is a lot.
But it's cool. What we're going to see is that in most of these things, like, that's kind of what we're up against. We're kind of just, like, that's kind of the reward for doing the DLC. Like, you get additional story in the form of these cutscenes and these journals. So I'll talk about
the impact of the heroes.
Yeah. So it really, to me, it pushes forward that idea that after Zelda lost her mom, Urbosa eventually, not immediately, but eventually tried to move into that space. And a lot of it wasn't because she was, had any intention of doing that, but because naturally that's where her heart went. She saw the love that her mom had for her before, and she really respected that and probably tried to imitate that in her own life. And then as things, as Zelda aged and came around and they were able to, be on a mission again together or what have you, when they were able to pick up the relationship again, she immediately just kind of fell into that spot of, I was really good friends with your mom and I really care about you the way she would have.
Yep.
So really cool character study on on
Mother Urbosa.
on Mother Urbosa. A much less great character study is coming up in our next champion, though.
I will say, I think I have like a target on why he's like that. You might have come to the same conclusion, but or not, but I definitely have a idea of like why he's like that. And I think Cameron actually touched on it in the episode we actually did cover Rito Village, but I'm not entirely sure.
I remember when we covered Rito Village talking about how Revali was like a brother character and he had this sibling rivalry thing going on.
Mm-hmm.
But I felt better about him then than I do now. The DLC, like, just aside from like I think literally just one cool moment that you get to see of him, the rest of it, I'm just like, you're a toolbox with wings, man. I don't.
So I will say this before we get into it. I don't disagree. He's a toolbox on wings. It's a great. Can that be the episode title?
Toolbox with wings? Yeah, sure.
Oh, anyway, so kind of like what you were saying with Cameron and what we kind of covered in the last episode of Rito Village, where he was kind of like the brother vibe. I kind of wanted to add on to that, and I'm not going to get into it just yet, but if you remember in the very beginning of Naruto, I'm going to use this analogy, kind of how Itachi was so skilled. He, not going to say exactly the cutscene right now, but he threw the shuriken and hit the targets and split them up. It was like the same scene where he like threw like multiple shuriken, hit them and like hit the targets, and Sasuke came over and was like, "Oh, hey." And then he's like, "Get out of here. I'm better than you." Kind of, and it was like the same thing that we're going to see later. So I have something on that and I'm excited to spill it.
All right. Cool.
Yeah.
So we're gonna head north. We're gonna go to the Rito, when really it's Revali's whole section.
Where? So this is my question. Before we even get into this, where exactly is the Rito Village fall? Does it fall into Bantha or does it fall in Hebra, or is it like literally the split between the two?
Well, good question.
You feel what I'm saying? I have
Yeah,
no clue what region that's in.
It's between Tabantha and Hebra. I don't think anything north is named Tabantha, and I don't think anything south is named Hebra. Right in between these two zones is Lake Totori. And I think
so it is like a split.
Yeah, that's where the Rito Village is. It's in that lake.
Hmm.
Well, that's not right. Tabantha Tundra is to the right of Hebra Mountains, or to the east of Hebra Mountains. So I don't know what I'm talking about anymore. Oh no, sorry. Hebra Plunge, Tabantha Hills, and Tabantha Plains are south of that. So there's a split right here where this like where the Hebra Plunge is. It's like a kind of like a canyon system where there's, I don't know, water in some of them and just straight snow in the other ones, like the Kopiki drifts and stuff like that. Seems like that's the main split between the two zones, and Rito Village is right in that system as well. So yeah, that's how I would describe it. Right in between the two. That's what I'm sticking with. But to start this one, we head on over to Kuho Mountain. Kuho Mountain. That's where this DLC section starts. So, Cass gives us his initial song about where to go and what kind of things we're going to be doing. The hints sound a lot like we're going to be going to. Let's see. Sorry, there's like 3 different things here. One of them, we're going to be shooting a dragon. Mm-hmm. One of them, we're going to be snowboarding, like through the mountains. and one of them we're going to be doing an archery challenge.
Boo.
So yeah, we'll start with the archery challenge just to get that guy out of the way because this one was rough. I mean, listen, once you know what you're supposed to do, it becomes a lot easier. But I definitely heard this challenge because there's somebody at the range, right? Like there's always somebody nearby to give you a little more detail when you get closer. And this one was about shooting 4 targets, like hitting 4 targets as you're in the range. I'm like, okay, not even kind of a problem because we had to hit 5 in the story, right? Like we had to go in there and we had like 2.5 minutes to hit way fewer targets than 2.5 minutes would allow for. So I go in and I'm flying around and I hit 4 targets without landing and I'm like, all right, got it. Nothing happens.
Yeah. I did that too.
Did that a couple times before I was like, oh, they're reforming and I have to get them all within a certain amount of time. So the trick was really more about finding a screen that would allow for, quick motion control aiming to take out 4 targets before they regenerate. And that was how you unlock a shrine at like the very bottom of the flight range. But yeah, I definitely ran out of stamina, fell in the water a few times trying to get this to work. But eventually I got it and it panned out.
I did like super bullet time.
Nice.
And once I figured out that it's super quick, super fast, it worked out. I just don't like this challenge.
I get it.
It's like they're trying to like show you like this challenge is like, well, Revali could have did this easy. It's like,
I mean, yeah, and the cutscene that we get later, it's like silly how Revali would have done this challenge, but yeah. We end up going into this shrine, and it is a giant spinning tower with a bunch of hidden switches. Each switch gives you a little more air power to climb up the tower, and that's pretty much the whole thing. I had fun with it. I thought the tower shrine was pretty fun, actually, to explore. It kind of felt like a Super Mario level more than a Breath of the Wild level, but,
Yeah. It was like a Super Mario 64 level. It did a little bit. For some reason, like, I got I don't remember the temple name. The Sky...
Which game?
It's Skyward Sword, the like Buddhist temple. I don't remember the name of that.
Oh, the Ancient Cistern one?
Yeah. Like just the way that the Ancient Cistern like turned and like you were able to go up different levels and you had the wind and like the like rope hook thing and you could like fly around. Like it was giving me those vibes. I had fun with it too.
Nice.
I liked it.
Yeah, pretty cool stuff. The next one, I mean, I don't know if I have these in any specific order, but the snowboarding challenge. It's the same as Sand Seal challenge, pretty much. You just find the starting point and then you snowboard your way down the mountain. I think it's legit on Heber Peak, so you can just warp right to that shrine if you have it, and then just start snowboarding. So that was cool. Very easy to unlock the shrine. It's you really just ride down the hill. You don't even really. I think this one I got hit right towards the end too, and then just ran through the circle. No, it was just fine or something. I don't know. It was silly. But this one unlocks like a marble track puzzle of a shrine. That's not really what it is. It's not like fully a marble track. It's like there's a giant ball that keeps falling from the top, and you have to fix the different sections of its path to get it to end up in a dish, and that's how you open up the shrine.
I don't even know if I remember this one.
Yeah, it reminds me of a couple of other shrines in the game, so it's not super unique. It's a little bit longer than most. I think you have to use just about, I mean, aside from maybe even the bomb I think you need. So I think you have to use all of your at least unless you just pause the ball and then stasis it where it needed to go. I think if you were going to do it the way that it's trying to make you do it, you have to use all of your Sheikah abilities to get it to work. Like you
I
have
feel
to
like I
put,
very vaguely remember this
yeah,
one.
you got to put out cryonis blocks for it to get across. You have to freeze a certain platform so that it stays as a ramp. You have to I put a bomb into like a launcher so that when the ball gets down there, you can launch it across. So it's just a puzzle box for your Sheikah abilities, for your Sheikah Slate powers.
Testing your Sheikah powers out.
Yeah, pretty cool. I enjoyed my time in there. I think I did try to stasis the ball over without doing the whole rest of it once, and it failed miserably. But what can you do? It was worth trying.
Stasis is always a hit or miss, I feel. I'm not proficient at stasis. Like, I don't know if you have the same problem, but sometimes when you try to stasis an object, it either misses or is just not in the right range. And like the yellow beam heads out and then just goes who knows where and doesn't actually hit the target. It's
Yeah,
something I've noticed. I have a problem with stasis for some reason. I'm not good at it.
gotcha. Yeah. I mean, hitting things in motion can be tricky with whatever ability you're using, whether it's magnesis or what have you. That one especially has like magnesis for me is like especially slow, so I feel like I'm always missing things with that.
Mm.
Stasis, I feel like, is pretty fast, so I'm able to do it a lot easier. But
I feel like
yeah,
I feel like for magnesis, I think the difference is like most of the objects you use magnesis on are generally not moving, whereas stasis, you're trying to stasis a moving object.
yeah,
I can never do it right.
I gotcha. Yeah, there's that. Like, as an example, there's a trick with a boomerang where you throw the boomerang and you can catch it with magnesis, and it makes a like a blade saw floating in the air in front of you. Sorry, saw blade. I don't know. I say
Yeah.
blade saw like that. That's weird. But it makes a like a circular saw basically because it just spins in a spot floating in front of you, and you can mow down enemies with it. But I've never been able to catch a boomerang with magnesis. The thing's moving way too fast. The beam's too slow. It never works. But there are
Kind of
videos of
reminds
that,
me
and
of
it's
that
hilarious.
like Lionel trick where you can throw a bunch of Lizzo boomerangs and have them rewind about and then magnesis and stasis some of them and then like keep them going and
Yeah, there's something weird about the programming where if you throw them, I guess, straight up in the air or almost straight up in the air and then move a certain way, when they come back down, they'll just circle link.
hmm.
There's like, I don't remember. I've never, oh, again, a trick I've never done, but, um, yeah, I've seen people, I've seen the video you sent me actually to exploit that one as well. Um, it's very fun to watch, but I don't think I'll ever do it. Um, So yeah, that leads us to our last one, which is shooting Din's horn, which
Heck yeah.
hilariously enough is something that I've already had a habit of doing because of the Trial of the Sword. So now right when I saw the map of where the guy was, I was like, he's sitting in the canyon waiting for Din. I'm farming there all the time, right across the ridge from this guy. So I went over and I talked to him. He's like, "Oh yeah, something's been really weird going on with the dragon. Like it's shining, like its horns are shining at night. It only comes through at night now. So you have to wait till nightfall, and then it comes through. And there's like it almost looks like a blue force field shows up on its horns. And when
Yeah.
you shoot them, it all comes back off and kind of converges into the horn. You get a chunk of horn if you want it, and it opens up the shrine. It's like a big switch. It's silliness, but because I've done it so many times already, it was not particularly difficult to do this time around. And we're able to get into this last shrine, which is kind of a bomb launcher / link launcher shrine.
Yeah.
You just
Lots of small little platforms.
lot of wind to throw things around. You know, you end up like throwing a bomb into the wind to launch it. Kind of like there was like an old I don't know if it was the original Halo. Which Halo had the one where it was a big green field and then there were a base on each side, and you can like they had launchers off the top of the bases.
Oh, I think that was 3.
That was in 3. Okay. So if nowhere else, it was for sure in 3. But
2 or 3.
Same deal. Like with this, you put the bomb in, there it goes.
Boom.
You detonate it at the right time, and then you basically chase after it. You jump on the same thing, and it launches you out there. Fun shrine because it's explosions and big jumps. So I had fun with it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's the last one. So most of them, I would say the marble track one is the least Rito one of the 3. But you know, at least 2 of them were kind of on theme, which was cool. And we can head on over to Va Meadow to take on Wind Blight Plus.
This one was
Wind
difficult
Blight
for me.
Oh, was it? It was?
Yeah.
What
I
happened?
was trying to be Revali.
Okay.
And
they give you like 100 arrows.
yeah. But like I was like jumping off and trying to like just shoot him and not really go into bullet time and just try to be it didn't work. I just ended up cheesing it like Link shell.
Sure. There were a lot of critical hits in his face. Like I would get into bullet time and then just spam. Even though I got the stun, I would just keep going and spamming. Again, Urbosa's Fury Plus really helped out in this fight.
It did.
Because I think they give you a little blade, but it doesn't have a ton of durability, so you really want to use it to trigger Urbosa's Fury when you use it. Like that's just a way to get the most damage out of it. So that was my whole thing. This guy I do not remember being a challenge because I mean he wasn't originally when we did it the first time, but then I got in here and I was like, okay, what kind of equipment did they give me? And it was 100 arrows. I'm like, all right, we're set. We don't need anything else. We got this. It is one of the 4 because at this point I've done all of them. Of the 4, this one was probably the least resource scarce of all of them that I felt.
Like yeah, the 100 arrows is really nice. I feel like they give you that much in case you really can't aim.
Makes sense.
And if you're going into bullet time, there's no reason that you shouldn't have to aim.
Yeah, I guess that makes sense because I mean, most of the combat in other 3D Zelda games has. I mean, you always do kind of go into first person for archery, but but it's always like the third person lock on system. You never, at least for normal fights, you're not required to do any FPS stuff, and it's the only time in this game too where it's kind of demanded of you, like, hey, switch up how you're playing this game. So I could see that being the case where it's like, yeah, some people just can't arch. let's give them more arrows than they need so they can figure it out.
But, so, what do you think about now that we've done the first 2 Ganons, the Blight Ganons, what do you think about the Illusory Realm with like the vibe of that area? Because I was kind of feeling, oh my goodness, I've made what 4 Skyward Sword references now in this episode. So maybe. I was feeling, was it Silent Realm? Was that
Silent
what it's
Realm was? Yeah. It was a Silent Realm. Yeah.
I was kind of getting
it
those
wasn't
vibes
called Sacred
from
Realm. That was Ocarina of Time.
Mm-hmm. It's kind of like the same mix, though.
Like the
I don't know, the mist and.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, like the just being in that realm and like I know it's like I guess a memory, but
yeah,
the way it was set up,
it's very like, similar for sure.
Yeah.
In fact, with Fujibayashi behind the wheel, I think I'm saying that right?
I sounded right.
Okay, if it's not, I'll edit it out. With him behind the wheel, I think that there's almost always going to be a mind palace. Like there's always going to be like I don't even know what you'd call it, a brain journey or something. You know, like that's what it is. You go into these like memory realms, and then the Silent Realm before, and then even in the Minish Cap, there was like a dream mini game where you'd go in and you'd fight enemies inside your own mind, basically. Like it's just there's always some other dimension that is just supposed to be like inside your mind. There's no real risk, but if you fail, you get kicked back out and have to try again. That kind of thing.
Even like the sword trials kind of was like the sacred realm or the silent realm, where it was just a backdrop of mist and like challenges presented towards you, kind of like the silent realm was.
Yeah.
So they're kind of like harping back to that. At least I feel.
It should have been my prediction for Tears of the Kingdom, is that we'd come back to the the memory realm. What is it actually called in this one? What did you say before?
So I looked it up. It's called the Illusory Realm.
The Illusory Realm.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Well, that's not quite as... I mean, I guess it's similar, but... Yeah. I hadn't thought too much about it, honestly, because I knew the purpose was to kind of relive that moment and kind of conquer it for the champions in a way. So I don't know. I didn't think of it too much beyond that. But in this case, I kind of feel like Revali should have won his fight, but
right.
It's very odd that he lost. I wonder if something else happened that went wrong. Maybe he got I don't know. Maybe he got blasted on his way back to Von Meadow and was injured from the start or something.
Maybe Calamity Ganon just sent hit so many forces there or something. Something happened. Like he did say though, when you first step foot onto Meadow. Sorry, yeah. Meadow. Yeah, I was like, why am I blanking on this? When you first step foot on Vano, he does say that there is a beast that brought him down 100 years ago.
Yeah.
So you suck, Revali.
Ridiculous.
But we and you don't even get a cool upgrade either. Like I was expecting that, because this is the first time I've done the Champions Ballad and got the upgrades. I was expecting to use Revali's Gale now with the upgrade and create a giant hurricane that like AoE damages enemies, like, and then like you go shooting up into the sky. Nope, nothing like that. Nothing cool.
No, most of them are just they recharge faster, which is garbage.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no, I was hoping like maybe you could get them to stack where if you hold it long enough, you can use all your charges together and just go 3 times as high. Or, maybe you can use one and that one will recharge on its own without having to use all 3 before they recharge. But no, that's not.
Yeah.
That's all I want, really. I just want to be able to use it and let it recharge while I still have 2 in the canister. But
yeah.
I don't know why that's not allowed. But yeah, we can we can get Revali's song now from Cass, who once again sings about how awesome Cass was at fighting, because that's really all he has. And then we get a memory where once again Zelda is coming to recruit Revali. I'm pretty sure this is the follow-up conversation where he actually agrees to help, not the conversation that she originally has with him to ask him in the first place. Because he made her wait to come back before he gave his answer. He was a toolbox with it. So yeah. So in this cutscene, hilariously enough, Revali gears up for a jump, flies up in the air, loses control in the gale, and ragdolls himself across the flight range. Which, I mean, anybody who just has felt burned by him has that little feeling of like, well, yeah, all right, like that's
finally
kind of what you get. But then he has this moment where I appreciate where he has one of these like anime talk to myself and like push myself harder moments. Where he's like, no, like you can't lose control. You got to do better. Like we got to get this down. Right. Like you can tell like the dude works hard. Like he's a fighter. Like he's really pushing to try to find that improvement, find the next mark. So then he goes in and tries again, and he gets it this time. Well, actually, I think what happens is while he's
Zelda
talking to himself, Zelda comes up, and then he's like, "It's rude to eavesdrop," and yada yada. But then he agrees to pilot the divine beast. He's like, "But first," and then he like does the gale for real. Manages to control it this time, which appears to be for the first time. And then does this wild move where he zooms in on all the different targets. Like, cause he's at the flight range. So now that he's got this sky view, you see him use like his Hawkeye skills to basically memorize the position of every target and then come down and do a giant bombing run through the flight range that honestly should have destroyed the flight range. But
yeah,
it's still standing, luckily. And then he goes back up into his little perch and he's like, I know I'll be the most important one when it comes to helping this hero with the sword that seals the darkness. Something along those lines. He's just, he's like, but if something goes wrong, don't come crying to me because you didn't choose me as the hero, basically.
He also says, like, don't blame me if he loses his confidence after seeing me in action or something.
Yeah.
I'm like, really, dude? Really?
So yeah, he's got some issues, and I don't know if it's supposed to be like a joke about the fact that he's a bird or not, because I know a lot of I know that if you have birds as a pet, a lot of times they tend to be like they need attention. They'll start molting and they'll start like picking their own feathers if they don't get enough attention, if they're not cared for the right way. Which is why a lot of times when people own, say, a macaw, they'll own more than one because they'll give each other attention and that helps them stay healthy. Because lonely birds are not happy birds. But I don't know if that's like what they're, I don't know if they're actually playing off of that. It just seems like it is such a fundamental need for Revali to be recognized and seen. And like he has all of these delusions about people seeing how great he is and then like just groveling at his greatness. And that's what makes me really annoyed with him for the most part. It's pretty rough.
Yeah, I definitely agree with all that. The thing that I was kind of going to bring up is, so there's different cycles of like jealousy and insecurity and egotism. And I was kind of diving a little into like psychology and
Nice.
what they call neuroticism, I think is how you say it.
Neuroticism. Okay. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So within neuroticism, it's basically like you have a negative trait that you're presenting to the world, and it takes over your whole domain of personality. And this could be something like anger, this could be anxiety, this could be self-consciousness, irritability, just anything negative. It's like an emotional that kind of construes from one particular emotion. And I think his emotion that it's construing from is jealousy. And I don't think he's necessarily jealous of anyone but Link. So, he's not jealous of Zelda, he's not jealous of any other Rito, he's not jealous of the Gorons. I think what he's jealous of, which is a sign of insecurity, that, he's not the appointed knight.
Right.
He's not the one with the darkness sealing sword. And so I think I don't even know if it's necessarily like, I think the big brother thing comes into play as well, but I don't think it's necessarily that as much as he has this insecurity and this jealousy, and he's very neurotic and he's very egotistical. And when it comes to Link, I think he feels we've seen him push himself. Like he does put in the work and the hours. And I think,
does he stay hungry and does he devour?
No, that's Daruk. He's a rock.
Okay.
So, oh, yeah. So I think having that, like, I lost my train of thought. Okay, I'm back. So having that, like, that like egotistical sense about him, I think putting in all of that work to trying to be as gifted as he is, and he is very talented, but I think he had to kind of almost in a way Rock Lee it and just put in so much blood, sweat, and tears. Whereas if you've played Age of Calamity before, Link was kind of just gifted from the start. I
Yeah.
mean, it's not like he's not put in the work. Like he definitely trained. He definitely, you know, you can see him in cutscenes. Like I remember last episode in one of the memories, you see him like playing with the Master Sword, trying to like learn the movement. So I think it's just Link hasn't tried as much. He was kind of just gifted because his father was one of the best knights in the regime, and so Link just naturally being the chosen one is just naturally gifted, and I think he's just so angry at that, and I think like
Oh,
that's why he's just being so neurotic and rigid.
gotcha.
So I think they tried to like I think they did it well. Like you do hate him, but I think if you dive deeper into it, like you can kind of see like he's afflicted and it's gotten so bad that it's not even his fault at this point
I mean,
because he
maybe.
doesn't even realize. I feel like he doesn't even realize he's like this. Because if you see all the other Rito, I mean, even Tiba,
Tiba, yeah.
Tiba, like even he has kind of like a small ego, but when you show him that you're talented, like he doesn't do what Revali does. He doesn't say, "Oh, well, I could have done it better." He's like, "Oh, wow, you're awesome." You know? So, I think that's where it's coming from.
Yeah. So let's
And I
talk.
I don't hate him after that.
Okay. I don't listen. I try really hard not to like hate, but he's just got issues, man. Like he's it's very he's got some room to grow in his personality because he really just thinks that what he is everything.
Well, I
So
mean, I don't know how much growing he's gonna be doing
no, not
now.
anymore. No, but I did go through his journal,
Oh, okay.
just like all of the
Haven't
champions. They
seen
all
this
they all
yet.
left behind the journal. Again, 8 pages. This time it might be a little quicker to go through because you're gonna see a pattern kind of spring up, and it's very Revali. So the journal starts out with him bragging about how he won another archery contest. Everyone's talking about how great at archery he is and how he's been winning all these contests. He's got this amazing streak going on. The chief asked him what he wanted as a reward for winning this latest one. And he asked for a flight range. And he's already starting to get ideas for this special move that he's been thinking of, which is going to end up being Revali's Gale. In the next one, page 2, he's talking about struggling with getting that Gale down. He also mentions, and this is probably one of the best highlights of the thing, that he's considering opening up the flight range to all of the Rito children so that they can train, because these are dangerous times. So suddenly, like, you start to see, okay, well, maybe he's considerate of
Selfless.
others too. Like, like I want people to be prepared. Like, they're probably not going to be as great as me, but you want them to be able to at least defend themselves. So it's kind of the approach. That's a little construed on my part, but that's how I feel about it.
Yeah, that definitely checks out.
Page 3, rumors of Ganon have been spreading, and there are some requirements for Vah Meadow that get shared with him. You have to have some kind of special power in your spirit. You have to have something beyond skill to pilot one. And he ends that page with, like, well, not ends the page, but in the middle there, he's like, they should have just asked for me by name. Like,
That is so Revali.
In case you were wondering how he felt about that. He feels like piloting Vah Meadow will give him an opportunity to prove himself, which I thought was really like unexpected for him to say that. Like, oh, this is a chance for me to prove myself. I'm like, haven't you already been proving yourself? Like, what more do you have to prove, Revali? Like, clearly you're winning all the archery
like
contests.
it's never good enough.
Yeah, and that's like, on one side, I respect that a lot because it's like I'm never gonna stop trying to grow and improve. It's very Vegeta.
Yeah.
like you set your sights higher, right? Like he's just always trying to push for that next thing, which is cool because it means he's always trying to learn too. But at the same time, it can be unhealthy if he still feels like he needs to work in order to quote unquote prove himself. Like that can be a dangerous mindset to come from. Like always wanting to grow and be better, great. Feeling like you need to prove yourself, you're going to be that's going to affect how you relate to other people if you feel like you're never good enough and you still need to prove yourself.
And I think like that kind of translates to what I was saying with he feels in having to prove himself like he's not as good as Link.
Yeah.
So he is socially inept,
right,
to say the least.
No, that's true. Okay, so then, sorry, I'm just kind of like rushed through this because I think we're like an hour and a half in now. So page 4, Revali hates the idea of being backup to Link. This is talking about like I think he's been invited at this point by Zelda, and the one thing that he does mention is that he's kind of impressed by how genuine Zelda is about this request. He has this line about how he didn't think that Hylians cared about anyone but themselves. But she's like asking for this from because she sees the need of the entire kingdom. She's like, yeah, we have to do this to save all of Hyrule. Mm-hmm. So she's impressed because she's not only being selfless and asking, but like he's amazed at how genuine she is when she's coming to ask. So there's that, but again, hates the idea of being the backup and is just like, he's like, I'm gonna agree, but out of self-respect, I'm gonna make her wait. like hold back on my answer until they're really like feeling desperate about it, which is kind of cruel, honestly. And it's really it feels like it's out of spite. So again, not feeling great. Next page is real fun. Page 5 are we on? Yeah. Revali just wants to show off how great he is. That's all it is. The whole page is about that. I don't even want to get into it too much, but he has this idea of being so great that everyone is just like, oh, Revali, you're the best. We need you so bad, and like you can, you should be the champion, and you're better than all of us. Like the whole thing describes that. Like my notes literally say Revali wants to show off and has prideful delusions. Because that's what it is. He has these unhealthy fantasies about like just being so great that people are groveling at his feet.
Yeah.
And it's really upsetting to me. Page 6 is he's talking about the inauguration of all the champions, kind of like Urbosa had her opinions on that too. He's critical because he doesn't like all the pomp, and so he's like, yeah, titles don't really mean anything. It's the real work that really means something. He's like, but I do like the scarf, which is funny because it just shows like he likes to be seen, right? Like he likes to be fashionable and in the spotlight, that kind of thing. And he actually has this comment here where he believes the stories that Link was fighting fully grown knights when he was just a kid, which is a part of Link's backstory that we haven't really touched on too much. But apparently Link, before he was officially a knight, as a child, was able to fight fully grown knights and just wreck them. So yeah, pretty cool.
And he acknowledged that, which is interesting.
Yeah, he says like I can actually believe it. So he sees Link and finds something to respect about him. He's like, yeah, this isn't a pushover. Like this guy's a real deal. It's just he still thinks he's better than Link. So like even though yes, he is something. I still don't think he should have been chosen over me. Which is, more than what we have seen. Because normally we've only really seen him talking directly to Link and trying to put him down. Whereas in his mind, he's like, I actually see this guy as something real, but I'm the realist. Right? So, yeah. And then page 7 is when he's talking about that cutscene that we got right before Von Meadow. Like when we first saw the flight deck, right, in Rito Village. I think that was the episode Little Riddly or something like that.
Yeah.
And he describes it a little different than what I remember, but it's cool. He says that, Zelda came to town and brought Link with her. He calls Link like her insufferable shadow or something like that. And he says he literally says, like, I tried to pick a fight with him, like tried to get him into a fight, but he just wouldn't talk and wouldn't react to anything. He's so quiet. I don't know what he's thinking. Probably nothing. Like, he's just got all these like really underhanded things to say. And then at the end, he's like, I went off to Von Meadow to find solace. Like after saying all of those things, he was kind of like, yeah, I just wanted to be alone after that. So I went up to Von Meadow and I was like, is that why you went up there? Because it kind of seemed like in the cutscene that you were trying to lord it over Link that he couldn't get up there. And it's just like, so I guess to me, that cutscene never read as he was actually trying to get into a fight. He was just trying to like be a jerk and then fly away.
Yeah.
And in this cutscene, it kind of seems like he wants to know what Link is thinking, and the only course of action he knows is to try to provoke Link into something, like instigate. And then when that doesn't work, he just wants to be by himself. He's like, "Forget it. I'm going to my room. I'm
in timeout.
I'm going to Von Meadow to be alone with my thoughts." So yeah, interesting perspective on that. And then page 8, he bashes Zelda pretty hard. He talks about how they're all going to go to Mount Lanayru in the morning and then, see her off in the morning and then, be there for her when she gets back at night. He decides not to go in the morning. He's like, I don't think it's really worth my time. And says, Zelda's struggling with the fact that she can't access the powers of the goddess, and we all know it. And he has this line in his journal where he says, I'm trying to comprehend the troubles of the talentless. He's like, it's really difficult for me to comprehend the troubles of the talentless, but I'm trying. And I'm like, guy.
Oh, I think that is one of the like best worst like lines to diss someone. Like if that was on a rap song.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, no, it was that, and that's why I walked away from this being like, you know what, Revali?
That's like someone who like sits at their king's chair and like, I have trouble with understanding the troubles of the talentless. Like, goodness gracious.
So, yeah, I mean, I think what we learned about Zelda is that her talent was not in the spiritual connections of prayer and what have you. But I mean, she was a researcher. Like, that's not even what she liked to do. That's not how she spent most of her free time. Like, It's just silly. But like, to me, this is Revali through and through. I mean, he says maybe he'll show up when she comes back down from the mountain just to see how things went. And as we saw in the cutscene, that's kind of what happens. Like, he is there at the end of the day.
Yeah. But
my dude, like, he came so close to having some redeeming qualities. And I feel like he just flushed them when he said that. I'm like, my guy. So I didn't walk away from Revali's song feeling any better about Revali than I did before. There's a couple of things about him wanting to open up the flight range, about him caring about other people, about him, I don't know, like wanting to grow and improve and being that strong, like having a strong sense of growth and learning. But my dude is just so rude. it makes it really hard to like him anymore.
Yeah. I think he's one of those characters that, like, at face value, you instantly hate him, but I think there's depth within him, and you just kind of have to, like, really dig down deep
Yeah.
to, the core of the earth to get that depth from him.
Yeah, he's not a flat character, but if he could just work on, I don't know, interacting with other actual beings in the world in a way that's not disrespectful all the time, that'd be great.
I would love to kind of know his past. I know we're never going to get this because he's as a character he's done, but I would love to know his
Revali as a chick.
right, like what caused him, because he couldn't have been born talented, right? He was born as a regular Rito. They can all fly, they can all, and they train to be warriors. So what caused him to just be like a gymaholic, just try to constantly prove himself
I have no idea.
hour in, hour out. And another thing is, growing up, I mean, Rito, I don't know ages, and he seemed, I don't know, like, to me, 35, 40. Like, he's been around for a little bit to me.
Okay.
He definitely older than Link, I feel. Feel like,
Sure.
I don't know how much older, but I definitely feel like he is older than Link. They could be the same age, but my point is, he has been around long enough that I feel like he didn't know Link for a while in his life.
Mm-hmm.
And I want to know, like, was he like that then? Because obviously, if he's winning archery challenges before he was even asked to be, within Va Meadow and that sort of thing, like, how far back does his ego go?
Yeah, I have no idea.
And was it only Link? Because we haven't really seen him, aside from that trouble with the talent list, we haven't really seen him, like, call people out other than Link.
Right. Yeah, no,
So
he barely interacts with the other champions, and we
mhm.
haven't seen how he was with the other Rito even, so yeah, I have no idea. Those aren't things we have any insight on really at this point, I don't think.
I think there was one scene with the name Teba. There was a scene in Age of Calamity with those two. They were fighting, I can't remember, and they actually had like a comrade ship going. They were like having fun together in combat.
Where was this? In Age of
It was
Calamity?
it was an Age of Calamity. Like, they were like flying around, like shooting. I don't remember exactly what it was. Like, it could have, I think it was Ganon's minions, or it was something. But like, they were having fun and they were like comrades. Whereas I feel
Yeah.
like if Link and Revali did that, they would be arguing the entire time.
Well, I don't think Link would.
You don't talk, but
I think Revali would just be like trying to brag about every shot he took, and Link would just be doing his job.
I feel like
he'd be like, "All right,
if
cool."
if we take the like thing away of Link as a mute, and let's say Link actually talks, but let's say that Revali's journal is also canon, to where Link just doesn't, give Revali the time of day when he's being like that. That's perfect on Link's part, because that just means that Link knows how to provoke him and make him angry and then get him to leave, because he just ignores him. I feel like he's looking and fishing for something, and when he doesn't get it, he's like, well, fine.
Yeah, 100%.
And Link knows that, and he's like, I'm just gonna mind my business.
Like, listen, we don't have to have this conversation. In fact, I already checked out. But my question, how good was Revali at singing though? Because my boy Cass, we can get back to him, the real Rito gem.
Yep.
The real Rito champion in my book, the real MVP is Cass. And we talked at the beginning of this episode about Cass doing all of his crazy things around the wild. During this, he kind of is on another journey, but I do want to cover this hero song that we can get from him if we do all of his regular shrine quests. So this is the way that you can get Cass to, be able to go home. When he does go home, he spends all of his days singing with his kids. And you can go talk to him, and he's like super grateful. And he's like, "Hey, if you don't mind, I want to talk to you about something. If you come back at night, we can actually hash it out." Because during the day, his kids are with him all day. He's singing with them. Like he prioritizes his family when he's at home, which is great. Mm-hmm. He's like, "Link, I already been around the whole world helping you out. Now's not the time for that anymore. I need my family time," which is great. Giving his wife that break by doing 24/7. Well, not 24/7, but like 16/7 singing lessons with his kids. But if you go back to him at night, he'll ask, he'll tell you that he has a whole story that he wants to talk to you about, and a whole explanation for what's been going on. And he asks you if you will take the time to listen, because apparently it's really lengthy. It's actually not that lengthy. I don't know why he has to ask for your permission, but if you do, he's super grateful. And then he tells you about his teacher, because that's who he got a lot of the ancient songs from. That's who taught him how to sing in a way that he does throughout the hero's ballad. Sorry, the ballad of the champion. Sorry, champion's ballad. The champion's ballad.
Champion ballad.
Yeah, and then so he goes into a little bit of this story, and he talks about how his teacher was a Sheikah poet who was in love with Princess Zelda back in the day. But unfortunately, Zelda had a thing for her appointed knight, who, was Link. Which is the first time the game outright says that, I feel like. Like we've seen the memories, but the memories didn't show a romance. The memories showed a friendship. So that's kind of a new bit that this Sheikah poet laureate of sorts kind of caught on, that Zelda had these feelings. Very interesting to put in there. But this poet also witnessed what happened at Fort Hateno. So saw Link and Zelda initially lose against all of these guardians, and then Zelda kind of turned it around, and saw him get taken to the Shrine of Resurrection, and decided. I think after this he went to Hateno for a while, and decided that he was pretty certain that Link was going to return eventually. So he started writing down these ancient songs in order to help the hero. So these songs were entrusted to Cass for the purpose of eventually forwarding them to Link, and that's helps him solve these puzzles around the world that are particularly difficult shrine entry challenges, and it actually does all culminate in a song about Link himself, which is kind of cool. Let me see, what else do I have here before I. Oh, I guess so. Like the sacrifice that Link went through in that battle was kind of what provoked him to start writing these songs. Like I guess he was moved by that. That's what it seems like. So Cass actually says that he hopes to meet Zelda one day, indicating that he never actually met Zelda. I mean, Cass is not 100 years old. So that he can write a song about her because of how well his teacher talked about her. Because I guess, aside from being infatuated, I guess Zelda, he talked about her beauty and other characteristics, I imagine. But I guess Cass is like, yeah, I'd really like to meet her one day so that I can write a song about her. We never get to see that happen in this game. Because, we'll get to the finale in a few episodes, but yeah, maybe Cass will have a song about Zelda in Tears of the Kingdom. That'd be pretty cool. I wish that had been one of my predictions.
You didn't know, really?
Was not. But yeah,
to kind of Oh, what were you gonna say?
No, I was just gonna say, yeah, that's what I have on Cass in this song. I didn't like write down the lyrics of the song. It's basically just talking about how Link is gonna go over Valen Mountain to, win the day and be the hero. So it's I mean, it's worth earning and listening to yourself. It is cool because it is the Legend of Zelda theme song.
Yeah.
So definitely
Yeah.
check that out.
So, kind of like what you were saying with the whole Hiteno, the Fort Hiteno part. So this is kind of dating back to the beginning of the episode when I said that the teacher of Cass is Robbie. Um, and if you go on the internet, you can find an amalgamation of just various Reddit and YouTube videos that talk about this. But yeah, like if you go over the key facts that were present, during this, um, there's a lot of connections to
Okay.
Robbie, which is just really strange. And I think the main one that everybody like really focuses on, which I tried to save because I knew you were talking about it. Um, but so the fall at Fort Hiteno with Link
Yeah.
and Zelda and how it was like such a moment. A lot of people are saying that that really was Robbie who is the poet. And the reason they said that is because the first time you meet Robbie, he asks you to show him your scars to
Yeah.
prove that it's you. And why else would he know your scars or, you know, ask for that if he wasn't present at the site, at the scene? He saw you take those scars. It's so it kind of just like I don't remember if they go over Sherry. Like they say that her name was Sherry, but like it could have been a nickname he called Zelda, like Cherry.
I
Um,
mean, maybe. I mean, I,
like
I don't know.
it was his first love, and we never we know now that he has another love, but like it was
Yeah.
his first love, and like yeah, I don't know. So
The
and
the articles that I had seen about it didn't mention the theory about it being Zelda because they talked about Cherry and how Cherry was his first love and how back when he was 20 she was a little bit younger than that and it was a little bit awkward. But it the thing is, like, I get the connection there because Robbie, I believe, was one of the two Sheikah that came to get Link
mhm,
right after it all happened. And in his memoirs, there's actually a bit about him going to Heteno and working with Pura for a little while as well.
mhm.
Um, so there's definitely history of him being in Heteno, just like the poet was supposed to have been. Um, like you said, like he does the guitar thing, which is very bardy. I don't remember if Cass says that his teacher passed or not.
He does.
So okay, so there's some evidence there that Robbie shouldn't be around if it was him. So I mean, for all I
It's
know,
like
maybe it's the other guy that was
yeah,
there.
it's like the
Um,
loophole in the story. Like when you look online, people are like, yeah, like it could be Cass just trying to like not give away his teacher's identity for Link's sake. Because Robbie plays a different role, and if you knew that he was Cass's teacher, it would kind of throw off Cass's point of the story and like his mission, which yeah. So it's like a loophole, but everything points to Robbie being Cass's teacher and Robbie being the poet, and I think it's just interesting that and Cass did mention that his teacher was a Hylian as well, like a Sheikah. So just having, there's not many Sheikas. It could be a no-name Sheikah, but just all the connections point to Robbie. And I think the last clue was with Sherry. 100 years ago at Fort Hateno, I think the plane that they were actually fighting on was Black Cherry Plane. And so there's just like that next connection, Cherry. And
the
I don't know.
the plate
In
like a
Japanese. Yeah.
gotcha.
So I think the
Black cherry plain, black
yeah.
cherry plain.
Yeah. In Japanese,
Huh.
I think the actual translation is Black Cherry Plain. So
So if he named his robot after Cherry, it could just mean that's where I saw Zelda, was in the Black Cherry Plain.
mhm.
I feel like that wouldn't, because he's married now to some other Sheikah, or actually,
Yeah.
I think it's a Hylian woman who may have converted to Sheikah, but you know what I mean? Like, and she gets annoyed when he calls the machine Cherry, because he calls it the
Mhm.
furnace now, or something, like the ancient furnace or something, because it upsets her so much when he uses the name Cherry.
Yep.
Huh. Well, that's interesting.
Yeah, there's a lot of dynamics with
And
it.
as a poet, he'd be completely within his right to do something silly like that.
Yeah.
As in, like, he'd be the character that you would expect to do something like that, like have some kind of off hint about who it actually is and that kind of thing. I'm kind of annoyed that it's called the Black Tree Plain and not the Black Cherry Plain. Not that there are any black cherry trees on it, but whatever.
No. Yeah, it was really weird to see all those dynamics and then just kind of have that whole thing thrown under because Cass says that his teacher is he like calls his teacher as of late, his late teacher, or I think he says his teacher has passed away.
Yeah.
But if Robbie was his teacher, he would know where he lived unless he's just, playing it cool.
Or maybe it's a poetic death and it's not actually that he's dead. It's that side of him. He's no longer a poet. But he's like, I'm not going to be a poet anymore. Now I'm going to research ancient
scientist.
tech. Yeah.
Yeah.
So he's like, it's up to you now. The man I once was is gone. And now Cass is like, yeah, my teacher's dead.
He's dead to me. Yeah. So
interesting connections. I would not dismiss that, but I also don't know that I would cling to it either.
Yeah, that's why I mentioned in the beginning, I'm not like 100% there. I'm not fully convinced because there is things that don't make sense. But I'm going to continue looking into it and see.
I'm a poet Robbie agnostic. All right. Well, I think that's actually everything we wanted to cover for tonight, though. I don't know if there's anything else you want to talk about. But
I think we nailed it.
Next episode in a few weeks from now, it'll be the Champions Ballad Part 2, where we'll cover Daruk, Mifa, and the final challenge of the Champions Ballad. And just as a mini spoiler, Cass is still involved, so we'll hear a little bit more from him as well as we finish this up. But yeah, I hope you guys have all enjoyed the episode. And if you want to reach out to us, you can do so. Just go to the link in our episode description. That'll take you right to our website where you can contact us directly or through any of our social medias. Otherwise, you all have a great few weeks, and we'll catch you next time on A for No, B for Yes.
Peace out.
Did you get all that? Intro? I don't know. Maybe.
Do his voice. Did you get all that? I can't.
Did you get all that? I can't do his voice. I can probably do a voice that he does, but I can't really do his voice.
Did you get all that?
Did you get all that, laddies?